Nothing is less stoic than disarray is preferable to anarchy or winging. Which is why Stoics grow up procedures and the reasons behind their norms, formed routines and behaviors. They adopted the structure of things, which is important in life. Without design, Seneca claims, it is unpredictable. Consequently, their capacity to place orders from why do we order the trivial because of this chaos? Portions of our lives to liberate resources to carry out significant and worthwhile items that provide us with freedom from the law and the structure. Therefore, we'll go with that. Gonna discuss in the video for today, I'm going to discuss a few daily routines, some standards of lifestyle and frameworks proposed by the Stoics, that today is the day to start living your life order. When these are regularly practiced, are routines that will enable you to your objectives and transform you into a person that people appreciate and can rely on us. I'm going to divide this video in half portions, the first of which will take you through a Stoic person's typical day, listing a few things that are not negotiable. Their dedication lies in creating a well-designed day, after which the second section will be a few Stoic living guidelines, strong standards and procedures, to remember that will provide you with a greater, well-structured and tranquil, a Stoic's typical day in the life. You really need to win the morning in life. Of the most recognizable aspects of Book 5 of Marcus's Meditations is where Marcus Aurelius and himself are at odds. When you're having problems at daybreak, he says, tell yourself, when I get out of bed, that I have to leave for work, as a person would say, or was this your purpose when you were created? Stay warm by huddled under the blankets. In the morning, a Stoic attack occurs. When a Stoic wakes up in the morning, they win. It's stunning when we arrive early. Understand that this wasn't necessary for him to do. He didn't actually need to take any action. Essentially, deserts one of his predecessors, the monarchy of a far-flung island, that the emperor possessed a great deal of power accountability. But Marcus is every day, practice a fundamental day, habit of rising early, and he's pursuing it due to the fact that to win the day, the morning is crucial. I want to get up and get my life back. Most crucial tasks I wish to do the difficult things aside while I maintain my highest level of energy, while I'm freshest, as long as I haven't been pulled down and into the dirt of disarray, annoyance, or any of certain things are very fundamental every day. Get up early and get after is standard procedure. It does not gather beneath the sheets and avoid pressing the snooze button and remain warm. Life is too short to waste any more time. We had to get up and go after it. Take action. Early. How can we be certain that Marcus is? We are aware that he woke up early. Due to another fundamental everyday practice, he kept a notebook, which is what the Journal of Meditations is, the world's most powerful man, and the list, numerous individuals, both historical and contemporary, who journaling is an art that may be practiced almost. It's funny and lengthy. Oscar Wilde is one of our fascinatingly varied, and Queen Victoria, John Susan Arato Wolfe, Joan Quincy Adams Emerson, Virginia baseball player Don Shan Green, Brian Cooperman, Mary Chestnut, and Anais Nin Ben Franklin, Franz Kafka, and others. Correct. Some individuals keep journals some did it intermittently in the morning. Da Vinci's notebooks were kept on them constantly. The notion is that you've got to create space and time for introspection. Not often, but occasionally, Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, discusses how he carried out his composing and considering time in the evening. He remarked after nightfall. Once his spouse had fallen asleep, he studied all day, and he says, I'm going back. Control my actions and statements, that I conceal nothing on my own, and I don't pass anything. Eventually he would retire to his bed, and he claimed to have discovered that the sleep, which the subsequent self-analysis was especially lovely, you have a lovely journaling practice in the evening, which results in directly into a restful night's sleep, And suddenly, a fan named Foucault woke up early. One of the Stoics would discuss this historical style of taking notes too. He even referred to them as the journaling, as a tool for spiritual warfare method, for applying philosophy and clearing the estate of confusion and folly, to surmount the challenge of silencing those dogs barking in your mind, to think about, take note of the day that has passed. Items that caught your attention throughout the day, to sense the flow of wisdom via your fingers and onto the page. And Frank pens in her lovely journal, describing the increased patience of paper compared to people, which is why journaling is such a crucial aspect of daily existence. Life is complex and frustrating, overwhelming, and we can slow down on the page. We can find a path to tranquility if we calm our minds. We might pose difficult questions to ourselves, such as understand where I stand in my own manner. What can I do to help myself obtain better yet? Why am I so upset about this? Why do I care, and how many benefits can I count? What am I about these people? Avoiding this place because my worries are determining what I journal about or don't is, as Julia Cameron established, a sort of religious, taking a respite from the world with windshield wipers, a plan for the coming day, a method to dissect and evaluate the day you simply possessed. And it might be the most crucial action you take, which is why the Stoics always done it. Today we must all be readers. The basis of Stoicism originates from a young oracle of Delhi prophesied. The oracle is being visited by Zeno, and he is told by the oracle that he will become wise. When you start talking with the deceased, and it won't be till numerous years later, he finds himself in Athens bookstore, and he learns that the book salesperson perusing a few of the conversations between Socrates and a deceased man a few years ago, at which point Zeno books are a great method to dialogues with the deceased, that we are conversing with those who have left us, taking advantage of their knowledge. So to be a Stoic, you must be a reader. Sen discusses the necessity of staying. The master philosopher's works do not simply read, but read again and again. That is the purpose of a book like Meditations. Regarding the book, you don't just read once, but the book you're currently reading continuously, so a portion of your Stoic maintaining a daily Stoic posture has to schedule reading time and for wisdom, and this is closely related to the practice journaling by reading your journal. Regarding what you're reading, you leave the house and encounter items that are influenced by what you are reading, or it points you in the direction of things to read in order to be Stoic schedules. Reading time, but not just any epics. Here's one of the jokes in the book. His pupils boasting that they've read several strange thinker who is especially dense, and he claims that you are aware if they had. If you were a great writer, you wouldn't have to boast about the reading we perform. It shouldn't be done to win people over. It's not to fulfill a requirement. We're reading for knowledge that we can apply to our daily lives. Today's Stoic General James Mattis discusses how, if you have not read hundreds of volumes, especially on the things you do for a living regarding according to him, you are functionally, we don't want to study by being illiterate. We can learn through trial and error. From other people's struggles and mistakes, we must read every day because it's a fundamentally Stoic. We must practice taking care of our bodies meticulously when considering an ancient philosopher, when considering in general. Philosophers don't have a tendency to consider an athlete we might not normally consider. When someone is rough and robust, we tend to, when we think of a nerd, we picture an elderly professor at Turtleneck University man wearing a toga, but the thinkers were. Active Socrates was more than a warrior. Socrates was a brave warrior. His buddies also refer to him as someone who might don the flimsy robe in. He was hardy in the cold and enjoyed strengthen oneself against the weather. Seneca was a huge walker in addition to being active. Every day he made these icy plunges. When Nero attempted to murder Seneca, he discovered that he struggled to locate and chanced to poison him due to Seneca was living off any food he could find on the ground, out in the woods for himself. The important thing is that the Stoics were engaged, were active. They weren't your typical, in fact, your bookish philosopher. When I was given the same introduction to the Stoics on that day, I purchased Marcus's Meditations. Purchased a book titled The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt's book is fantastic. I narrate this tale using the hurdles, and self-control is destiny there. Roosevelt was a sickly little boy when he was born, possessed asthma, and his hobbies were, he liked being inside as an intellectual. His father was nearsighted, and one day he sat, "Look, Theodore," he replied, lowering him, "you're smart, but I don't believe his physical body is in your possession. This is a timeless piece of wisdom, notion of corpora and mansion, or a powerful mentality, a robust body, and youth." Theodore turns to face his dad, who says, "All right, I'll construct my body." And this is where we can obtain the outdoorsy active. Roosevelt was an audacious theorist who accepted the demanding lifestyle, and you are aware, following his term as president, he took this travel through the Amazon on an uncharted. You are aware of what river brought with him. He carried a copy of Marcus with him, the musings of Aurelius and the epic Titus Manual, which the Stoic thinker Marcus Aurelius is being hunted, and there was a Stoic boxer who wrestled. Roosevelt's Stoic runners attempted to spend a few hours exercising in a "What do you think of your first day as president?" Teddy would have considered our justification for inactive digital lives is we're too exhausted, too busy, or that we weren't born in the same manner as us, intended for Rufus, who is so much more muniums. The Epic's teacher said clearly the physique of a philosopher should be healthy, ready to engage in physical activities, because he frequently stated that the virtues make use of this as an essential tool for he thinks we need to train in life's affairs. Ourselves to become less disciplined in order to heat and cold, hunger and thirst, avoidance, hard beds, and limited rations of joys and endurance under suffering indicates that the body becoming more powerful and capable of persevering adversity. It's prepared for any chore that the Stoics had as a daily routine, not related to writing or reading, but going out and being active, pursuing it, and retreating the body. Seneca asserts firmly that it is not ignoring the sana of the mind. Men incorporate sharp intellect and a powerful principles of lifestyle body, thus on top of their regular. There were some kind of philosophical ideas or opinions. It enabled the Stoics to live in harmony, fruitful lives, and the initial one is their attempt to steer clear of procrastination at all costs. What fools have in common, according to Seneca, is there's always, "They think I'm preparing to live." Had to wait for the situation to return to normally. I have to wait for the appropriate circumstances. I had to complete this first. I received, "I'll take care of that tomorrow." Where does this occur, and is it in the morning? Get them, but it doesn't get them anywhere. They never do it, so I'll do it instead. The greatest deception in the world is tomorrow. Marcia comments, "You could be good today." Meditations, but you decide to. What the Stoics attempt to achieve tomorrow is if we're doing something that they want to do. They want to start right away. They're sufficiently disciplined and modest enough to understand that there's a title pertaining to procrastination. It presumes you'll possess the self-control, the time, and the chance to do it later. But we don't acknowledge that the cemetery of wasted potential, as we would say. Those who waste time and wasted years are had to complete another task first. The biggest waste is delaying things. Of life, according to Seneca, it snatches daily as it arises, and it rejects us, the present, by guaranteeing that he claimed that the entire future is in I believe that uncertainty exists instantly. He's telling you to do it immediately and get rid of, I'll use your lexicon to get to it later. Take action. Currently, if you've seen even a few of my items that you most likely see, I dress in kind of a uniform. Same things most of the time. It's typically since I'm doing some of the same things. Every morning when I get up, I take my children outside, take kids to school, go for a walk, and I sit down, I spend some time writing, and then I try to work out on another walk. I spend my days with my children in the pool. I lead a quite active life, you know, which explains why I've appeared in numerous these videos featuring Viore clothing. The sponsor for today, they create some of the coziest clothing possible. They create incredibly adaptable items, and, you know, it appears decent enough to be worn in a podcast, and simultaneously, I can put to go for a run. I put on my running shoes. Soon later, everything is made to be worn when exercising, as well as throughout my typical existence. I guarantee you that it is most likely more at ease than you are currently wearing. The website's actually simple to use. The items get delivered immediately. I typically go directly to my favorite dream knit page, most important things. And now that the temperature is dropping and I'm back in, I enjoy their sweatshirts and joggers. Ivory's racing shirts are an investment for your well-being, and our listeners, you can get 20% off make your first purchase to get some of the most adaptable and cozy apparel at Vora on the planet. V is CD Stoic, Rye.com Daily Stoke. In addition to you'll receive 20% off your first purchase, but receive free shipping when you spend $75 or more. And receive free returns. Visit Vi.com, Stoic. People learn about Ivory's adaptability. Exclusions for clothing apply. Visit the website for complete terms and circumstances. Marcus had a rather straightforward. He gave a recipe for a happier life, saying that he said, seek tranquility and do less. We must ask ourselves this question, with all of this is necessary, and he claims that when you remove the without it, you receive the double. Gratification from performing better with less effort. Thus, a large portion of our actions and the time we spend days on the things we live for, we do it out of habit, not necessity. We act in this way because we feel guilty about it. We act lazy because we don't want to appear impolite. We do it because we believe we possess eternity or limitless time, and we question why our hearts aren't. We question why we don't have time in it. To carry out the truly crucial tasks, if we could perform less unnecessary tasks, we'd be able to do vital tasks more effectively, and we obtain Marcus's tranquility. Aurelius is discussing the necessity of develop the strength and capacity to speak, not being able to give the ability priority to get rid of, if we desire peace, if we want to be more productive. It's about wood behind fewer arrows. Keeping steadfastly to the things that are crucial, and getting rid of the unnecessary and the superfluous. There was a Greek term that we obtained from the cosmos of the Stoics and order, is the focus of this. Maintaining cleanliness when I'm feeling. When I feel behind, I feel overwhelmed, frequently glance at my desk and leave. Naturally, I feel this way throughout my life. If you look at it this way, this is an allegory for Reuben and Gret, who I've spoken with on the Daily Stoic podcast, has this amazing statement, outer order. Inner peace, therefore, one of our possessions to do is arrange our belongings, maintain order, simplicity, and elegance, such as how your desktop appears, both your virtual desktop and your real. Are you drowning in documents on your desktop? Do you have $1 million? Your office is a disaster. Your phone is full of unopened emails. Alerts establishing systems and order, removing the noise and disruptions, establishing order from the turmoil of existence is essential to preserving that austere attitude of clarity, direction, and purpose. Seneca discusses how life can be so ugly at times. Cluttered and disorganized, but needlessly thrown into that is careless. Thus, how can we establish organization and order in how we establish routines in our life? How, if everything is automated, do we? Your willpower determines how your life turns out. You're reliant on ongoing excavations, going to be worn out, so you must establish systems and order that you must maintain. Cleanliness is something you must maintain. Structures and systems, or you're going to obtain overwhelmed by the social media landscape and immediate satisfaction without shame and terrible. We require bound IES more than whenever you feel like taking care of yourself, maintaining your private life while conducting business private, avoiding excessive sharing and allowing people pull you down and don't understand enmeshed with the dysfunctions of others or drawing them into your powerful enough to express your preferences and disapprove of others' personal space and tastes. This is essentially the fundamentals. However, these days, it's really uncommon that you are aware that oversharers are all around us, and drama queens, doormats and hot messes, pushovers, gossipers and busybodies. Setting boundaries involves establishing some lines, surrounding oneself with healthy boundaries that assist in deciding what you disclose and what you let in won't affect you, what you pay attention to and what you ignore. In fact, one of the introductory sections, Meditations, focus on this exact concept. As Marcus Aurelius begins the second book, he says, "Tell me when you awaken in the morning. You are the ones I will interact with. I will be meddling and ungrateful today. Conceited, dishonest, envious and sulky." He's not merely saying, hey, that he's going to make the world terrible, claiming that this is the essence of limits. But I won't let them implicate me, he says. He claims that none of them can, which makes me ugly, wounded me, and I question what the limits are. About establishing gaps and space, so not everyone has access to everything. This is the Stoic idea in your head, of items inside a citadel that we cannot allow anyone from outside the US to touch us. The world's news about the unpleasant core sounds emanating from one of Seneca's "The secret with the letters I open is stillness." Seneca is attempting to focus on job amid an extremely hectic, and Rome was a noisy city where people were constantly attempting to reach him where he had to. Many distractions should be ignored, so the capacity for these boundaries to be independent. Self-sufficiency is merely a fundamental Stoic practice to maintain an organized and a life that runs smoothly. Thus, you may wonder if the Stoics were everything about order and regularity and order in which they were quite inflexible, and it might sound incongruous for me to say that they're mistaken. This is a video on life organization, and I'm going to share with you this concept of formlessness, however, leads to, the legendary Robert Greene tells us, "The rule of power is the most Stoic, and once more, that may not be what you believe." Due to the fact that the Stoics were everything about guidelines, organization and discipline, but life is uncertain. We have no control over so much. If you have specific requirements, if you're unable to change and adapt, you're going to find meditation difficult. According to Mark, flexibility is the capacity to examine what life has to offer and respond, "Yes, that's exactly what I was." Searching, so sure we have our favorite manner of doing things, yet we are able to manage. K.O. was one of the people who are tallest and most renowned Stoics, but he didn't budge on anything. Despite the most relentless efforts, pressure, which ultimately caused him to a less than effective politician, he declined. He insisted on making every kind of compromise, custom to the letter, and that rigidity turned into a sort of vulnerability that we must be able to adapt and accept. Alter, one of the Queen's sayings that I loved, was, "If things would remain the same, then circumstances will have." My schedule has changed significantly. When I moved to Texas and had children, There have been several stages since I started writing. During some times in my life, my routine is constantly evolving, yet these general principles, these more profound concepts, these obligations that let me shuffle the things that are present, but remain true to the same fundamental ideas, as Epictetus was questioned by one of his pupils once, such as what he was expected to perform, and Epics had no response for him. And at last, the pupil answered, "No, you have to." Epics stated, "Tell me what to do. Would be preferable if you requested for my assistance, make you situationally adaptive." That's what we must eventually become as Stoics, that can adjust to any situations regardless of what is happening. We discover methods to be in the outside world, productive, effective, and concentrated on what's necessary within them. And the final, and I believe the shortest method used by Stoics to mold their lives, serve as a reminder that, because life is so short, you may end it. Mark says in Meditation at the Moment, let that guide your actions and words, and believe that Seneca's perspective was even more of a paradigm change, that he advises against considering death is this impending event that you're approaching slowly, he says. He claims that death is occurring at this very moment. Death owns the time that passes, so as we choose how to organize our days, whether or not to put things off, either in order to include them or not, we must keep in mind that we are acquiring these items in our presence with time, our most valuable resource, something we will never be able to recover. Thus, we must be present. We must first and foremost, we must be modest, to be adaptable since life is brief. You might go at any time for more. Let that guide your actions and words. And consider how you, every day, I send out one somber message live, prompted hundreds of thousands of emails, many individuals worldwide. If you'd like, you may receive more Stoic wisdom in your inbox. Register at dailystoic.com. It's completely free. Unsubscribing is free at any moment. I would love to have you every day.